Hey everybody, Chad Schimmel. Welcome back to my shop. Today I'm going to make 3 bullet keychains. Super simple project. These are awesome for gifts, for yourself. I use one every day. For selling if you do craft shows. These are simple, fast projects to make, and they can have a really good return if you are doing craft shows. So let's get started. What I'm going to make is a gold keychain with a brown Spectraply. I'm going to do a chrome with a silver gray Spectraply, which really looks cool. And then I'm doing one of our new money micarta blanks on a gunmetal. And these are going to look great. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is drill out my blanks. I've got my brown Spectraply, my gray Spectraply, and my money micarta. I have painted the money micarta tube green. I'm going to see how that looks. I hope it looks cool in there. And then I don't need to paint these because they're nice and solid. So let's drill those out. All right. Looks good, and we're all the way through. So I'll glue these up. I can trim them up on my sanding with my sander with my sanding jig, and then we'll get turning. Okay, so I've got my blanks ready. They're ready to turn. I've put them on my bushings here on my mandrel. And the bullet keychain bushings are different sizes. The keychain tapers from the back to the point, just as you would expect. So you do want to pay attention to that if your blank was directional or you needed to have it going one direction. These are wood and the money micarta, so it doesn't really matter what direction I do. So it's on a mandrel, standard pen mandrel. I've got one slimline bushing here just to give me some space from the head. I've got an old Mandrel Saver here, which still works. It's a little noisy, but it still works. What I want to do is slide my Mandrel Saver over, up close to my mandrel, lock it down, snug it up to where it's just snug right there, and then lock it down. All right, so now that this is set up, I'm going to round it with my Skew. This is a 3/4 inch record power Skew, and then I'm going to turn it to shape with my Easy Wood tool rougher with the radius insert. And the reason I use the radius is so I don't have that straight sharp edge. I can kind of have a little freedom on what I'm doing there. So I'm going to run this at the max speed, 3800, and we'll just round this over. Oh, need a little tightener there. There we go. So I just need to snug it up. Probably because I just put my mandrel in, it wasn't set in all the way. And once I get this round, I could turn the whole thing with the Skew, but I like the Easy Wood. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over. There we go, we're nice and round. I should mention, this actually has a negative rake on there, which I don't need for this wood, but it certainly doesn't hurt. And I'm about to turn the money micarta, and that's really going to help there. So this one is ready for sanding. So I'm going to pop it off. Throw on the money micarta. And I can still round it with the skew if I want, or I could do this. So I'll just go ahead and do this to show you guys how easily this negative rake works on resin. You can see the, like even before this is round, the awesome chips that it throws. So this stuff just turns so easily. Resin. So that's the green showing through there. Looks pretty good. This should polish up really nice. Our last one is the gray. Alright, so all three blanks are done. I can now sand. The wood ones are going to be super easy. I'm going to sand them with 400 and then 600, and then I'm going to put Mylands Friction Finish on them. The money micarta I'm going to sand with 600, 800 wet sandpaper, and then I'm going to use Zona paper to polish. So I like to sand between centers, so I'm just going to put this right between centers. Snug it up, not too tight, you don't want to bend it. I'm going to turn the lathe down to about 700. And this is 400, and then I'm going to do 600. So I'm going to go with it while it's on, get my edges real good. And then I'll turn it off once I do this for a sec here. And since it has a nice line to it, I'm going to sand by hand with the grain, just slowly rotating the lathe by hand. And I should, with the two grits, because I used the carbide and I made a nice light pass at the end, I should be just fine. If my piece was rougher, I could start with a lower grit sandpaper. Looks pretty good. I'm going to grab 600. Same exact thing. Edges. It does not take much. And the Spectraply sands and finishes really well. So you don't have to go through 120, 220, 320, all that, unless your piece is really rough. But this stuff turns really nice. So I'm doing Mylands. I really like Mylands, especially on the Spectraply. It has a wax component to it. It really does a nice job. Gives it a good sheen without being like looking like plastic. CA finishes are fine, but in my opinion they look like plastic because they are. So do whatever you like. I think these, especially being a keychain, it's going to get beat up and hit. CA might chip or crack or shatter. So a friction finish is probably better in this case. Snug that up just a little more. Now that I've applied it, I'm going to warm it up, and I'm just going to push on it with my fingers. I like to heat up the finish a little bit because I think it helps it set. Alright, look at that. That looks killer, and it has a nice shine to it without being plasticky. So the brown one, I'm going to do the same as the gray. Sand with 400, 600. I'll grab the 600. Back to the Mylands, little dot of it. Now if you have time and you can wait a day and put another coat of this Mylands on, every time you add a coat with some time in between, it looks really good. That wood looks really cool. It's going to make a good looking keychain. And lastly, the money micarta. So this one we're going to need the water. And I like to just cover the lathe a little bit. It doesn't prevent everything, but just splashes. So this is 600 wet dry paper. We sell packs of 600 and 800 or combo packs. It's my favorite when I do acrylics. I sand with 600. Usually if it comes out good, that's it. If I need 800, I'll do it, and then I go straight to polishing. This just evens out everything. If I had a little tool mark or anything, it would take care of that. But do not start on your acrylics with like 220, because you're going to scratch them up more than your tool did, and you're going to have to sand all the scratches that you put in it out. Got some cloudiness on this side. It must be the drill didn't left a little haze in the blank, but you can see the green in the blank on that side. All right. Now I'm going to use Zona paper. I'm going to go through the grits from green to white, and I'm just going to give it about 30-40 seconds of grit, and it should come out nice and shiny. So I'm done with the water, and that looks pretty cool. Let's get you a shot here. The Money Micarta just has a really good look and makes cool pens or keychains. So let's assemble these and see how they look. Okay, so we're going to put these together, and it's a very, very simple assembly. It only has 2 parts for the most part. We're going to do that one with the gunmetal, that one with the gold, and that one with the chrome. I'm just going to show you the assembly of one. You want to unscrew the tip. You want to unscrew the coupler out of the back end, because you don't want to push against this little nib here. That'll bust off, or it might bust off. So that's the back, that's the front, and you do have to remember that this does have a taper to it from the bushings, so you got to make sure you put it. It would look like it goes the other way because this is smaller than this, but remember that screws into the back. So we just want to line them up. I'm using the Miles Craft press, my favorite press. See if I can get it under the camera here. So the Miles Craft press is spring loaded. So once I get it pushed in here, or put in here, it'll hold itself. But I just want to make sure and keep an eye on it so where it's square. And press it in, and that is it. And now I screw on the back end. I can take off the paper. Put in the tip. And that is a cool little keychain. Let's go ahead and do one more just because that might have been a little out of the picture. So I'm taking off the back end. This is the gold one. So that's the rear of the gold. I'm going to take off the tip. Put that guy in there. Load it into the press. You want to make sure it's all nice and even when you do that. If you start it crooked, the press will try to continue crooked, so it'll do what you tell it to. Screw the back on, put on the tip, take off that paper, and look at that. Awesome keychain. And why not? We're here. Let's do the third one. That is the back end, the front, looks good. Now I'm going to go crazy here. I'm going to put the tip on first. Can you believe it? Then the rear. And that is your Money Micarta bullet keychain. That came out pretty cool. So there you have them. Here, I'll show you. There's the 3 of them. And they look really cool.